from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Report.
Hello and good evening at this point. I'm forecaster John Bordash with you in the JB Weather Center this evening to give you an update on what we have going on across the region as we head through the day Monday going into Tuesday, and what looks to be a rather active string here as winter starts to awaken a little bit. It looks like my audio is all good to go. I kind of wanted to catch us right when we got to halftime of the Packers-Cowboys game. I'm happy to see that score right now, just to try to increase the amount of people that are here to see this. So with the limited time we have there, I want to make sure I kind of get into the details of what we have going on. I will preface this by saying any questions you have, I think most of them should be able to be answered either by what I'm presenting right now or with what I posted on jbweather.net earlier today. My forecast definitely looks like it's kind of shaping up to be one that's good, but we're going to make some minute changes as we head into tomorrow. But as things stand now, I am liking where we stand. And what we're taking a look at right now on William Richmond to Inca HD radar is where our system currently is. It's bringing snow to parts of Arkansas, going on over towards the Memphis area, northern parts of Mississippi, parts of Tennessee, getting on up into Kentucky. We're looking at widespread snow, and you can also see the temperatures on there. Little Rock's currently sitting at 16 degrees. So this is a dry snow. This is a fluffy snow that's impacting parts of the Mid-South, and this is what's going to start to impact our region tomorrow morning, but definitely much more in a bigger way as we head on over through Monday night, going on over into Tuesday. Let's get you on over to our graphics, and I want to see here. Yep, this is a look at that 10-day forecast I just finished putting together, and you can see that string of active weather that we have across the region as we head over the next 10 days. The next week or so definitely looks to be some of the most prolonged cold we've seen in a long time. We're going to be looking at daily highs that are in the 30s between now through about next Sunday. Maybe Thursday could be a exception to that, but we're going to see periods of light snow tomorrow with more widespread light snow Monday night going into Tuesday with 1 to 3 inches of snow possible. And then we're going to be moving on over through the week with cold temperatures and maybe another storm chance as we head on over into Friday. And I will say I just haven't done laundry yet, so I'm currently wearing my Merry Christmas sweater, and also because it is cold and windy up here. But first things first, we are going to have the chance of snow across the region as we head into tomorrow morning. This is going to kind of be round one of two. This one I'm really not that impressed with, and I actually want to take you on over to our Futurecast model that can help us detail this just a little bit more. And yeah, Kent. I mean, I'm just happy to see 27-7 Green Bay right now. I don't know. It's kind of where we stand. But, yeah, so here would be a look at Futurecast as we head through the night tonight. One thing that's going to be very evident and what could become a little problematic throughout this entire event is that we have dry air in place, which does make me very nervous. What that dry air is going to do, you can see Futurecast for 2 o'clock tonight. It shows widespread rain, and it really should be showing snow and not rain, but it shows precipitation. This likely isn't going to be hitting the ground, though, because it's so dry. It will fall out of the cloud base, but because we're so dry, it's going to do this thing called sublimate, or kind of like evaporate, if you will, and kind of vanish. It's going to take some time to moisten up the atmosphere for that little snowflake or raindrop to make it all the way down here to the surface. This does tend to be an issue in the winter just because when you're talking about cold temperatures, they do tend to be dry air masses. So you need to get just enough moisture in the atmosphere. As we play things through, we can see that Futurecast starts to break out maybe a little bit of snow as we head towards 4 and 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. This is nothing that's all that heavy, and this maybe is flurries at best for many spots. You can see that snow is a little bit more substantial back toward the Shenandoah Valley, and that is where impacts, if there are going to be any, would be the most prevalent. And as we head throughout the morning, it's mainly clear. It's just those hit-and-miss snow showers throughout the morning with, again, the most substantial stuff hanging back on out towards the west. That is why we have this special weather statement that's in effect for tomorrow morning for areas along into the south of D.C. This is where light snow is possible, and it could cause some slick spots if those flurries do indeed make it to the ground. We're plenty cold, so anything that falls will indeed stick, so that could cause a little bit of issue tomorrow morning. However, it's a holiday, right? So many people aren't going to be out traveling like we would, let's say, on a normal Monday or maybe on Tuesday. But nevertheless, this is just that heads up that light snow is possible. Winter weather advisory back on out towards the west for areas like Culpeper, back towards Harrisonburg and Charlottesville. This is where light snow is the most likely. And on out that way, we're talking a general 1 to 3 inches of snow tomorrow morning. Maybe a quick coating to half an inch for areas south of D.C. right here through Tidewater, Virginia, and southern Maryland. But for the most part, I don't see widespread impacts from this. And I do see a couple of quick questions. People wanting to know Thursday is looking fine. Do I see issues for Amtrak for the rest of the week? And we could see some slight disruptions Tuesday and Friday. That Friday forecast is very much unknown. But yes, we could be looking at a little bit there. As we start to transition, though, we'll get through tomorrow, and then we're going to start to introduce the idea and the potential of snow as we head through the day or through the evening hours on Monday. And I want to show you what that looks like. Let's bring it back on over to Futurecast. Let's get you the correct Futurecast loaded up here. And if we want to get this to play... There we go. So here would be a look at Futurecast for tomorrow afternoon and evening. And we can see that our Cedar Point Federal Credit Union Futurecast starts snow off tomorrow afternoon and evening around 3 o'clock or so. And I'll show you that impact timing graphic here in just a moment. But snow will initially start for southern zones. And I think Futurecast is actually overdoing this a little bit. I don't think we're talking about moderate or heavy snow to start. This really does look to be a widespread light snow event. And as we head throughout the day, you can start to see, as we hit the evening hours, the snow breaks up a little bit and it starts to move up to the north. And then we get into the main stuff. We start to see really kind of like the quote-unquote core of this system, kind of the more substantial widespread areas of snow beginning to move into our region as we head through the overnight hours. And I do see lots of what's going to happen in my backyard. Again, I would definitely recommend heading on over to jbweather.net. While we do have moderators in here, I don't want to bog them down with these individual what's going to happen in California, Maryland versus Gillespie, right? Again, we're talking in general 1 to 3 inches. But let's go ahead and put this back here into motion. You can see that widespread snow throughout the night, tomorrow night going into Tuesday. The snow tomorrow night is probably going to be focused a little bit more to the north. So while the snow will likely start for areas south of D.C. through tomorrow afternoon around 3 o'clock, after about midnight, we start to see that start to shift a little bit to the north. And you can see that here with 4 a.m. showing widespread snow from D.C. points north. Now, precip continues to move through, and Futurecast starts to mix in maybe a little bit of rain. I don't know if we'll see rain with this, given how cold we're going to be, but that shows that precip sticking around through the Tuesday morning commute. And as we head towards 9 o'clock, and then eventually as we get on over towards midday, we start to see a lot of this precip push out of the region. So, the million-dollar question, how much snow are we going to see tomorrow? I think we're talking a general 1 to 2 inches for much of southern Maryland. I think you're going to see slightly higher totals, maybe 2, 3, maybe even an isolated 4-inch amount for areas along I-95 and back to the north and west. And that's because that's going to be the region where we see snow last the longest, right? So we're not talking heavy snow, and we're all going to be plenty cold for snow. It's just how long can the snow hold on? I'm putting this main time frame between 12 p.m. Monday through 12 p.m. Tuesday. But again, I'm really kind of focusing on those overnight hours to see the bulk of this fall. And I want you to notice those ranges, right? It could be as low as 1. It could be as low as 2. I'm not forecasting where it's widespread 2-inch amounts across southern Maryland or widespread 4-inch amounts across the Piedmont and I-95. I think those 2 to 4 inch amounts are probably going to be more like 2 and 3 with some isolated 4s. But notice where the general themes are. Yeah, southern Maryland, of course, is going to be on the lower side of things. But this does indeed look to be our first widespread snowfall in about 23 months, which I think says a lot about where we are. Here would be a look at that local impact timing. So snow potential tomorrow morning, focused to the south, but it's generally light. We might start to see that snow pick up a little bit in intensity as we head through the afternoon and evening hours, really starting to increase in coverage as well. And snow is widespread overnight and beginning to taper off throughout the morning and afternoon hours on Tuesday, with the focus a little bit more to the north. Temperatures not really too much of a concern here, and wind gusts not much of a concern either. I'm not expecting power outages with this, but slick spots are definitely going to be possible as we head throughout the day. Monday evening going into Tuesday. Could this result in school closures, business delays, school delays on Tuesday? Potentially, and it's we'll have more details on that for Monday. It's a little bit too soon to say what exactly those will be, but do anticipate some travel delays for Tuesday morning because, again, whatever falls is likely going to stick to the ground. I do see a couple questions wanting to know about the Eastern Shore area. Let me take you back on over here. Much of the Eastern Shore from Salisbury points north are looking at a general 1 to 2 inches of snow. Yeah, and again, we're not really looking at too much wind. I do see some of my central PA followers starting to filter on in, wanting to know about the Harrisburg region, Hershey. Given where I work, we now have a large contingency from York, PA that follows. Generally up in that region, I'm liking a general 2 to 4 inches of snow up that way north of the Mason-Dixon line. Snow up that way likely starts after sunset tomorrow night and lingers through about lunchtime on Tuesday. So impacts are probably going to be a little bit more prolonged on Tuesday north of the Mason-Dixon line. So if I'm trying to plan for Tuesday, as I am as a teacher that lives in Pennsylvania, I'm taking note of that. I'm saying, okay, I need to have a plan B on go for our lesson on Tuesday. Front Royal, I'm liking a general 2 to 4 inches of snow. And yeah, my sister is there letting us know where we are sitting with snow totals. Let's see, any potential heavier snow banding as the low slightly deepens? And Arthur, I do like this question, and I can tell that we're starting to get towards the end of halftime because our viewership numbers are going down. So this is like the core of our presentation, right? So like anything else I'm going to say is going to be a little bit more technical. And if you need a recap of any of these like pretty graphics or anything, they're on jbweather.net for you. What I do want to do is take you on over, let's take you into Cedar Point Federal Credit Union Futurecast, and this would be in terms of snow totals. This is what our model is doing for snow totals. And let me get you a key here so you can see what these different pretty colors all mean for you. All right, here we go. So we can see again, we're generally talking maybe an inch or two for areas along to the south and east of Washington, D.C. Is it a lot of snow? No. Is it going to lead to some impacts, though, for Tuesday? 100%. You can see we're talking, much more widespread, heavier snow or slightly higher amounts north and west of D.C. And our Futurecast model here only goes out through about 1 o'clock on Tuesday right now. So amounts up north of PA are slightly underdone from what I would expect to see as an actual storm total here. You can see more snow back out towards the mountains where they are able to get snow that starts tonight and kind of lingers throughout the day. And again, those periods of snow off and on are definitely going to be likely for many spots. What I do want to do is take you on over into some of our weather models so you can start to see what they're trying to pin out. And I will say, I've seen a couple questions about the goldfish. Indeed, we do have a goldfish is not yet open, it's still sealed. And some people ask, JB, did you get the colors for, like, does this mean anything special that it's colors and not normal goldfish? All this means is that my local Giant did not have normal cheddar goldfish in stock, and I did not want flavor blasted. Let's take you on over, though. Let's, bada bing, bada boom. Here would be a look at one of our models. This is our GFS model. Lots of lines here. What I need you all to focus on, Southern Maryland sits right about here. My PA followers, we sit right about there. All right, anything that's in blue represents snow, and we'll kind of break this down as we move through. And we can see that our North American model, our just general American model, what it starts to do is starts to eject an area of light precip into our region as we head through the overnight hours. And actually, I feel like what might be a little bit more helpful than this like general view, and what might be a little easier for people to understand, is if we head over to our weather bell. Let's use the North American model that just finished coming in. Bada boom, bada boom. All right, there we go. So you can see clearly, and again, I'll point out where Southern Maryland sits right here, South Central PA right through there, right? We can see we have our weak area of low pressure right now that's bringing snow through parts of Arkansas. We're going to see this try to eject to the east, but it's going to start to fizzle as it hits those mountains. We're really not going to start to see snow get going until we get a new coastal low that develops off the Carolina coast and kind of slides out to start bringing in some of that more substantial widespread snow. But we can see that area of snow represented there by the purple starts to eject here into parts of the Appalachians as we head through tonight into tomorrow morning. You can see that our North American model really focuses snow here through Kentucky, Tennessee, parts of West Virginia, up through the mountains. These mountains, though, start to act as a block to kind of cut a lot of that off. Maybe we see some light snow flurries make their way east of the mountains through our region. This is 1 p.m. tomorrow. I'm not thinking it's possible. I don't know if I'd call it likely, though. But once we start to get our area low pressure, and you can start to see it develop here, once we start to get this area low pressure to really develop and really start to throw in moisture into the cold air that is diving south, is where we start to get precip that overruns that, and that starts to lead to an outbreak of snow. Don't you like all my color coordination there? All right, let's go ahead and place this for. So I was reading some of your comments about the goldfish, and you can see where we get these deeper purples. Deeper purples denote the heavier bands of precip right through here. We see this. That shows us where the heavier snows are likely to be. If we look at any banding setup, and I saw somebody's comment wanting to know about bands, I think if we see a heavier band, it's going to likely be like through this region. Right through there, I think, is where we're talking to the potential maybe for a banding a heavier snow, but none of this is going to necessarily be heavy per se. And you can see that our model starts to get that out of here rather quickly. If I show you some of the snowfall totals from this, and we'll take much more of like a Maryland-centric view here to simplify things. You can see the general totals that it puts down. Again, very much in line with our forecast. If we were to zoom in here, try to get you a look. Let's outline Maryland for you with one of our infamous JB weather maps that get drawn here on live. So right here's your outline of Maryland, and this pen looks gigantic. So you can see generally the higher snow totals are likely along and north and west of DC. This specific model likes the idea of maybe a band of maybe like a 2 to 4, maybe even a 2 to 5 inch amount through parts of Montgomery, Carroll, and Baltimore counties, maybe even extending up into York and Lancaster counties, PA. But this is just one model, right? Right now we're starting to use a lot more of our higher resolution models. If we take a look at the higher resolution version of this model, not much difference, but you see a general inch or two down here to the south in parts of, there we go. Through parts of southern Maryland and areas near DC, a general 1 to 2 down here. And again, that cutoff line, like the lower eastern shore, you're seeing under 1 inch from this. And then you start to get into more of those widespread 2s north and west to DC. And if we were to see a heavier band of snow, kind of as this model depicts here for you, that's likely going to be up through this region. This would be the area that I would be watching for the potential of heavier snow. When we're talking heavier snow, maybe instead of a 2 to 4, we're talking like 3 to 5, right? So not much of a difference, but enough. to definitely keep an eye on. But that would be a look at the North American model. If I show you a version of our high-resolution Canadian model, which does tend to do well with the snow, much of the same here, general 2 to 4 inches. If we take a look at the National Weather Service forecast, they are actually a little bit more ballsy here with the snowfall potential. They're forecasting up close to 4 inches out towards DC, widespread 2-inch amounts for southern Maryland. So, I mean, generally looking at this, you're talking like a general 2 to maybe even 5 inches for much of the region. That, I mean, I think this is maybe a little overdone, but it's something to take note of. That would be the National Weather Service. The Weather Prediction Center, in terms of their snowfall forecast, right now sits this only goes at 24-hour clips, but you can see a general 1 to 2, maybe 2 to 4 on up towards Baltimore. Our European model, which the new run isn't in just yet, but you can see that it puts, again, a general 2 to 4. You can get starting to see a general theme here. Now, our American model right now does stand to be one of the only outliers for this, and this is something I take note of. I don't know how seriously I take it. This puts the heavier snow along into the south of DC. This potentially would be the region of 2 to 4 inches according to this model, with the 1 to 2 kind of shunned to the north. And then you even see it starts to bring in some 6-inch amounts down towards Richmond. I think this is overdone. With that said, this is something to take note of, and this does get that general consensus for a while, like a 1 to 3 inch range for many spots is probably a good call. I do still like the idea of some of the higher totals falling along into the northwest of Washington, D.C. If I take you on over to the National Weather Service page, bada boom, let's go over to winter weather. You can see kind of how they're dicing up this system. They are saying, once this puppy wants to load. All right, let's bring us on over. The snowfall totals that they are expecting, they're going for a nice 2 to 3 inches in Lexington Park, 3 to 4 in La Plata, 4 to 5 in D.C., which to me feels definitely a bit overdone, but we'll see. You can see this is where they generally stand. They're saying that there is at least a 90% chance that at least this much falls. 90% chance of at least an inch or two for many spots. And then the upper end, this is worst case snowfall potential, upwards of 5 or 6 inches. I don't think this is all that likely, but again, that's why it's the worst case scenario. But we see this is a look at their winter storm threat graphic, many spots in that orange, denoting an enhanced risk of winter weather for Tuesday. Medium impacts with medium confidence. I think that seems about on par. The next time period we're going to need to watch is going to be Friday, where we could see a storm system develop. And what I will show you, our American model, it takes our storm system coming up, throws it on out, and then we start to see another area low pressure start to get its act together here off the southeast coast. And if I'm able to do the eastern U.S. to kind of zoom us in, you can see that it wants to try to bring some snow, but the system's a little discombobulated. If we actually use the 12Z run of this, you can see our area low pressure, there we go. You can see that it develops an area low pressure off the east coast, and it throws back, again here, southern Maryland, area of low pressure. It brings to the north and west some moisture as cold air dives in, and that leads to the potential for snow. This is the next thing to watch as we head into Friday. I'm still not thinking this is a big storm, but we are several days out. We need to get one storm out before our models have a good idea on what the next one is going to be talking about. Let's go ahead. Let's head back on over here because I do see a couple questions wanting to know about forecast, and I think I forgot to show this graphic. I don't know if I did or not. Just a general sense of snowfall timing. And one thing I did want to mention, any snow that we see tomorrow going into Monday night into Tuesday, it's going to be what we call high ratio snow, and Wesley's comment makes me think of that. When we say higher ratio, typically 1 inch of liquid equals 10 inches of snow. Those tend to match up pretty nicely. However, when you get really cold air, it can start to bump up how much snow you can get out of 1 inch of liquid because the snow tends to be fluffier, so it can pile up much quicker. So instead of 1 inch of liquid equals 10 inches of snow, we might be looking at 1 inch of liquid equals 13 or 14 inches of snow. Not that we're expecting 14 inches of snow, but that's to say even like a 1/4 inch of precipitation could translate to like 4 inches of snow if it really wanted to. But again, general impact, we're not talking a high impact from this event at all. At most, maybe moderate impacts. And slick spots are going to be likely as we head into Tuesday. Wednesday, we'll see. I don't know if we have slick spots that last that long, but I mean, it's definitely possible. Bada bing. Any other questions? I know my sister's been doing a pretty good job with this. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all caught up. So we're going to continue to watch things. I will have an updated look at this forecast as we head through tomorrow. And because I'm a teacher, I'm off from school tomorrow, which is nice. So I will be able to, bring those updates throughout the day. And we're going to hope for a snow day Tuesday, but we'll see about that. But yeah, we'll continue to track things. Just that general look one more time. Active week ahead, periods of snow Monday, 1 to 3 inches of snow Tuesday morning. And we could be looking at a period of light snow tomorrow morning. Is it going to be much? No, maybe a coating to 1/2 inch tomorrow morning. Maybe some slick spots on roads, but the higher impacts are going to be back out towards the west. A little too early to talk about school odds for Tuesday. What I can say, though, is that a general 1 to 2 inches of snow looks likely for many spots with locally higher totals to the northwest of DC. Maybe you're talking more like a 2 to 4 inch event there. But I do think that most people see snow. The one concern I have is going to be about dry air. Do we have too much dry air present that can, is the air maybe too cold that allows for dry air to be present? That can kind of cut off on the snow potential. We'll see. But a general look at impacts as we head through the next 48 hours. Thank you for joining me this evening. I'm forecaster John Bordash. Keep it tuned right here to JB Weather for the latest information, and I'll continue to provide updates. Have a nice and safe one out there, and please stay warm and stay tuned.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.